What is going on, guys? This is All Gaming with my review of Akame Got Killed Episode 1. And this anime right here, it is definitely the most exciting anime that I was just so hyped to see this season, because I read the manga, so I definitely know what's going to happen. And I could not wait till this anime came out. So when it did, I already knew that I was going to review this for you guys, and I gotta say, this first episode, it did a pretty good job. Now, it did only cover the first chapter of the series, which is a good thing, because I definitely don't want them to try to rush things and cram a lot of stuff in there, and I'd rather have them, spread it out some over episodes. So I was definitely glad that it only covered the first one, because it had a lot of material, to go on. Because first chapter of our series, they are very lengthy, so obviously, it was definitely good to go this route. But the episode itself, it starts off where we see this courage. It's going down this dirt path, and we just see, in the distance, we see the ground is now breaking up, and we see this monster is now rising out of it, and they called it an earth dragon. And so this dragon here, when it was actually going to attack the people that were on this courage, we see now that someone has come in there, and he actually cut off the dragon's arm. And this guy right here is our main character, and we see now that he was easily able to handle this dragon. And his sword technique, it was definitely impressive, I gotta say. He has the move to back it up. You can kind of see that he is, somewhat arrogant as well. But obviously, when the people were praising him, it definitely got to his head. But then we go to where he was talking about going to the capital, because he wants to make it big there and become, a big shot. And we see that their expression, kind of change. And they do give him a warning, because he was saying, they were saying that there were more dangers there than that beast that he just took down. And it wasn't like there were actual monsters there, but it was the people inside the capital. They are much worse than some random danger beast that you come across in the wild. And so eventually he didn't listen, and we see now that when he does get there, he immediately goes to the army, I guess you can say, to join up. But he noticed that when he was going to, he would start off, at a rank so low, and he did not have time, to waste doing that, because he thought that he could come in there and become a big shot right away. And we see that when he tried that, because he had wanted to show some guy his sword skills, he was immediately thrown out of the place. And that right there, it was pretty funny to see that. But even though when he had struck out, he was down on his luck, we see that some woman, she has taken pity on him, and she actually offers him, some help. And so immediately, she uses him to go to this bar, and she gets drunk, because she had told him that she knew like a shortcut, so to say, about how he could get into the military and rise up, to like a great status. So immediately, she was saying with money and connections, that would be possible. And we see now that she claimed to know a guy that would help her do that for him, but she needed money. And we see that he had this large bag of gold and other coins. You could just tell that bag right there, it definitely has some weight to it. And we see that girl, she took that money and she just left. And so now we have that guy waiting on her to come back. He's just there waiting and waiting, and the days goes by, and we see now that the bartender, we saw at first when the girl first left, we saw that he had looked at Tatsumi, because that was his name. And so throughout the day, he probably watching him. And we see now that when it does get nighttime and the bar's about to close, that is when the bartender, tells him the truth, that he actually got swindled out of all that money. And so not only did he lose money to that girl, but he also had to pay for all the alcohol and the food that he ate as well, because he said that after paying for that meal, so obviously he ate something, but we didn't see that. But now he's broke, and he has no choice but to actually sleep out in the streets, because he has no money, so he can't buy an inn. But now we have this girl. You could tell that she's rich, because she had these guards, like showing her in the streets in his carriage as well. And so immediately when she spots Tatsumi, she tells her guards to stop, and they're like, and they've been asking her if she's gonna do this again, because right now apparently she is to be believed as a kind-hearted person, but after what Tatsumi had just went through, there is no way that he was gonna believe anything. But eventually, like this girl, she was able to convince him, to come there and stay with her, because right now, he thought that maybe she will also want some money from him as well. But but we have our guards saying that this right here is something that she does normally, and he just accepts her generosity. And so we go to her home, and it's definitely huge, and we see now that she has a very rich family. Her mother and father, they're like well aged as well. And so immediately, Tatsumi here, he thinks that he's lucky, because it definitely seemed like a turnaround after he lost all his money. He has now come across this girl that is just taking him in without even knowing him. And so the next day, we have Tatsumi, the girl, and her guards. They're all out because she's shopping. And this girl definitely loves that, because she bought so many things. And we see now that we have one of the guards, him and Tatsumi were talking, and we learn more about this kingdom, so to say. And so they actually do have an emperor, but the thing is, their so-called king, he is only a child, and is actually, I believe he is the prime minister, but he like definitely up there as well. But he is the one that's like pulling the strings, and he is the one that's like really in charge. So obviously that right there is not something good. But eventually, we have this girl, we have the guard, he also tells Tatsumi about this group called the Night Raid, and we see now that there were like three wanted posters for like 3 of his members, and you could tell that they all look very different. But they had like some pretty big bounties on them. I do believe that we saw some bounties as well, and so obviously they're wanted. But we do know that they go after the rich, and because of their name, they mostly attack at night as well. And so now we have the girl. She's coming back, and we see now that she has like this massive box that the 2 of her guards could barely carry. So we have the one guard asking Tatsumi to help him out, and that right there was like definitely hilarious. But now we like skip some to where it's night, and we see this woman, or where we see the girl mother. She's now walking down the hall, and she was talking about writing something down in her diary, because she has this this hobby that we know nothing about just yet. But while she's walking, just out of nowhere, we see all this blood, and we see that her arms and her torso, it's like in the air. And even though it was censored somewhat, it definitely wasn't as bad as it could have been. But obviously, this woman, she's been cut in half, and we just see the other girl that's like covered in blood, but she's like wielding this giant pair of scissors. So of course, she's the one that's behind that. And then after she was killed, we have Tatsumi, who was asleep. He wakes up because he sensed this very powerful murderous intent. And so now when he runs out of his room and heads down the hall, we see that when he looks out the window, he actually spots Night Raid, but he also sees this family guards as well. And so now we go to Night Raid versus the guards, and we have 2 of his members, mainly fighting them. And so we see this one girl, she cuts one of the people, and even though that wound, should have been enough to kill him, because it was in his neck, we see now that like something is coming out of it, and that right there also kills him. But then we have like this big guy. He had this spear, and it was just crazy, like when he threw it, the way that it impaled that one guy, that right there was like pretty freaking intense as well. And so afterwards, we see that the 3rd and final guard, he was so scared that he tried to run away, but he was like shot right in the back of his head, and it came out right between his eyes. And so we have the girl that that has shot him, saying that at a time like this, he would try to run. But then we have another guy saying that how could he not run at a time like this? So I definitely felt like he was like justified in running. I wouldn't say that right there made him a coward or anything, because obviously he saw his comrades dying in front of him, and he did not want to suffer that same fate. So it made sense that he would like try to run away. But obviously Tatsumi cannot handle these guys alone. So he actually planned on protecting the girl, Aria. I believe that right there is how you pronounce her name. And we see now that Aria, she's now running with this guard, and we see them now running to like this shack. I guess you could call it that. But we see that when they're running there, we have Tatsumi finally catching up with them. And this guard here, he was a coward, because he wanted Tatsumi to stay there and fight while they were waiting for the cops to show up, because this guy is a guard. It's like his duty to protect her, but at the same time he could have put her in that shed while he did the fighting. But too bad for him, we have Akame. I believe that how you pronounce the name. Like I never really said the names out loud, like while reading the chapters, and this right here was like the first time I really heard them, like really being pronounced. So I'm trying to get them right. But we have Akame. She now jumped down, because now she's there, and it seems that that Tatsumi, had no choice but to fight her. But because that he was not a target, she pretty much ignored him, and we see now that we see now that when she was like actually running toward him, she had like jumped onto his head and used it as like a board to propel herself. And eventually, we have this one guy, the guard. He starts shooting at her, and this girl has some pretty good reflexes, because she dodged all of those bullets, and she did kill that guard. And so eventually now, like, Aria is all alone because nobody can protect her. So now Tatsumi had to get in the way again, and eventually that right there, leads them into fighting. Like that right there leads them into fighting Akame. And so we see them now going through like this quick exchange of like of sword clashes, to eventually she actually stabs him. And I also forgot that when Tatsumi had first met that girl family, he actually talked about two of his friends that were like traveling with him, and one was Sato, and I forgot the guy's name. But eventually, they had all left their village together, and we see now that their village chief, he actually gave Tatsumi like this wooden statue, and he was saying that he was saying to keep it close, because when the time comes, God will like definitely be on his side and help him out. And that right there saved his life, because we see that when Akame has stabbed him, she actually stabbed that wooden statue, so her blade could not kill or wound Tatsumi. And so that right there, he had some serious luck on his side. But after Leone, I believe that right there is how you say her name as well, she had killed that girl's father, and now after taking care of that, she had went to where Akame was, and of course she saw her fighting Tatsumi, and Akame now, she pretty much was like dead set on taking out her target, and she pretty much wouldn't listen to anything that Tatsumi was like even saying to her. And so right before she had a chance, to kill him, we have Leone coming in there and stopping her. And so right now we have Leone. She wants to pay back Tatsumi for all that gold that he gave her. And so eventually, she kicks open the door of that shed, and that right there is where we finally learn the truth about these people. They actually bring in all these country people, and they treat them so nicely before tricking them and torturing them to death. And you just saw like all of these dead bodies, but there were definitely two that were just so freaking important because they were Tatsumi's friends. Because we saw the girl Sato, she was just so cut up, and then we have his other friend as well, who was still alive, but you just saw like all of these spots on his body, and you could tell that that he was like pretty messed up. But eventually, he tells Tatsumi the truth about them, like tricking them, like once they ate, they had passed out, and when they woke up, they had found themselves in there. And so eventually we see this girl. She had tried to sneak away, but luckily we have Leone, stopping her, and that right there, like shortly afterwards, we see her true colors, because she kind of snaps here, and she was saying that these country people, they are no more than cattle. So she believed that she can do whatever she wants, and she actually treated Sato so freaking bad because she was jealous of Sato's hair, and that right there, like made her jealous. So she made sure because it was a pain to deal with her hair, and so because of that, she had tortured Sato so freaking badly, it was crazy. And so now because of that, now they're planning on killing her because the truth was out, so there was no point in lying anymore. And so eventually, before Akame can kill her, we have Tatsumi stepping in once again. And so now because of that, they thought that maybe that he'll try to protect her once more, but that right there wasn't the case. He actually was the one that killed her, and that right there was awesome. Like, even though it was like a very color still shot, it was definitely awesome that that he did kill her. And so after her death, we have his friend who was like still in the cage. He was saying that felt good because she got what was coming to her, but then out of nowhere he like coughed up all this blood. So now Tatsumi lets him out, but it was just far too late because her mother, Aria's mother, she had actually drugged her victims. And that right there, like made him very sick, and so sadly he could not be saved. But he did say that Sato never gave in, and she actually had a pretty good death. And so he wanted to make sure that he also like had a cool end as well. And so now we learned that he was actually kept alive by sheer willpower, and that right there is awesome. I had nothing but respect for his friends, even though they died. Even though they died before we even got to know them, I still had nothing but respect for them. But now that was all over, we have Leone. She get this like bright idea to actually bring Tatsumi along. And so now we see her dragging him, and it was hilarious. But she was saying that she'll come back and she will get his friend's body to bring him to the secret base, so that way they could get a proper burial. And that right there, it was like definitely nice of her to do that, because obviously she didn't have to, but it was nice that she did. So eventually they joined the other members of Night Raid, and we see now that Leone give Tatsumi to this other guy. Like he's the one that we saw in the armor with the spear, and for some reason his name in the manga, it was like different than what it is in the anime, because in the anime it's like much longer than what I remember it being called in the manga. But maybe I have that wrong. But I will definitely look that up though. But now Tatsumi has no choice but to join Night Raid, and that is where the episode ends. So like I said, for a first episode, it was definitely good. I loved it, because to me, I'm so happy that they aren't rushing it and just cover the first chapter in it. So honestly, to be honest, I'm going to give this episode, a 10 out of 10. But of course, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. But as always, please do not forget to like the video and subscribe, because that really helps me out. And you guys take it easy, and I will see you all next time.